When I was a kid, there was an annual street festival held every September in my neighborhood. It was during that festival that I acquired my very first mineral specimen. I think I was probably 7 years old. I still have it after all these years. It came with a cotton-lined box, and somewhere over the years, both the original box and the label disappeared. And honestly, when you're a kid, who cares about labels? Now that I'm older, I kind of wish I still had that label, because in this hobby, labels aren't just a piece of paper. They are the story, the proof, sometimes the only thing that tells you exactly what you have. I know this is pyrite just by looking at it, but not all minerals are this easy to identify. Plus, it would be nice to know where in the world this piece of pyrite actually came from. So here's a question. What happens when you still have the label for your mineral specimen, but you find out that the label itself might be wrong? This was originally described as yttrofluorite on calcite, a deep purple microcrystalline yttrofluorite druce coating on a large central crystal of calcite surrounded by a garden of gemmy second-generation calcite scalenohedrons. The only thing is, apparently there's talk of recent lab tests on some of the specimens from this find, and the results supposedly show little to no yttrium. So, is this rare earth yttrofluorite, or just really pretty but ordinary purple fluorite? The chemical formula for ordinary fluorite is fairly straightforward. It's calcium fluoride. This is how yttrofluorite would typically be represented as a chemical formula. The yttrium partially replaces calcium. Yttrium is a rare earth element, but the phrase rare earth is something of a misnomer. Yttrium is not actually geologically rare. It's just very hard to find in large concentrations. In other words, yttrium is abundant, but it's spread out sparsely over large areas. Yttrium once played an important role in old cathode ray tube television sets. Today, yttrium is an important element in the use of LED lights, and it also has uses in lasers and superconductors. So this is the story as I understand it. When these specimens first hit the market, they were described as yttrofluorite. Then a little later, discussions about lab tests started appearing on online mineral forums. The results coming back from the tests on some of these specimens supposedly showed little to no yttrium. And if that's true, then the purple color here might simply be the result of some other trace elements or radiation color centers. When I first saw this specimen, I knew I wanted it for my collection. When I inquired about it, the mineral dealer told me up front that it was entirely possible that certain samples of these specimens did initially test positive for sufficient yttrium content to justify the yttrofluorite label. But they said I should probably err on the side of caution and basically just assume it's regular fluorite unless I get it tested myself. Personally, it doesn't really matter all that much to me if there's zero yttrium here. This is a very aesthetic piece of calcite and fluorite, or yttrofluorite, whatever the case may be. The contrast, the sparkle, the second-generation calcite, to me, it's an incredible example of natural art. Even in the world's top museums, it's pretty well known that labels do get updated now and then. What was once confidently called one mineral might turn out to be something else entirely, thanks to better tests or fresh science. That doesn't make the specimen any less stunning, nor does it mean the original label was a lie. It just simply illustrates to all of us the fact that nature is full of plot twists that don't always fit the textbooks. And honestly, this whole lively debate only makes this specimen even more fascinating, at least to me. I've updated the provenance file that travels with this piece. I don't plan on selling it anytime soon, but if I ever do, the next owner will definitely know the full story, because honesty is always the best policy, especially in mineral collecting. And who knows, maybe someday I'll have the opportunity to have a lab test it and find out for sure. But to my eye, it's still beautiful just the way it is, regardless of what any results might say. My hope is that this story gives you a little more insight into the nature of mineral collecting in general. People collect all sorts of things, but oftentimes these objects are created by humans. We can trace back the story to where the item was made, the quantity, and the time period. Many people collect graded coins, for example, because collectors rely on the grading service to tell them exactly what the coin is, what the condition is, and what the population is for each grade. So looking at it that way, I think it's pretty safe to say that mineral collecting is far more challenging than coin collecting. That's not a dig at coin collectors. I personally love coin collecting. I'm just saying that unlike coins, minerals were manufactured entirely by nature, and there is no systematic grading system that I'm aware of for minerals like there is for things like coins, comic books, and baseball cards. So this is something you definitely need to think about and be aware of if you're brand new to the hobby and you're thinking about starting your own mineral collection. So I guess there are a few lessons here. First off, keep all of your old mineral labels. But then also remember, every mineral tells two stories, the one on the label and the one you actually hold in your hand. I hope you enjoyed this little dive into mineral drama. My name is Jimmy, and thank you for watching Minerals of Beauty. I'll see you next time.